Articleship, the mandatory 3-year period for every chartered accountant student that I pursued from KPMG in India. I ended up working at KPMG for 5 years and that was my first job ever. But during my articleship period, I made some solid mistakes that I look back and regret on. And that's why I want you to avoid them, which is what this video is all about. Hi my friends, my name is Mehar and I'm a chartered accountant from India and an MBA from Imperial College London. I currently live in London, but now that I help students on their career paths, I have realized that there are many mistakes that I made during my articleship period and many mistakes that I see my students make as well. So in today's video, I will cover the mistakes that I made as well as the mistakes I see my students making. I have made tons of other videos on articleship that you can check out right here on how I got into KPMG and also tips and tricks on how to have a smooth articleship and also the things that I learned during articleship. So make sure you're checking out those videos for sure. And please, my friends, sit down with a notebook and a cup of chai and make sure that you don't make these mistakes at all. Do share this video with your friends who are pursuing articleship currently or are planning to soon, especially from the Big Four. So first and foremost, when I think back to my articleship journey, I don't have any regrets as such overall. In the sense, I think I did my best and I think I could not have gotten a better opportunity to be a part of the Big Four at such a young age. I interviewed and started working at KPMG when I was just 19 years old. It was my first job. I had no experience at all. So if you are in that similar page where you are very, very young, you're confused, you don't know how to go about it, it's completely okay. I have been in your position and so many of my friends and colleagues have been in similar positions. So don't be so hard on yourself. It gets easier with time. First jobs are always tough, but you have to keep a note of the positives rather than the negatives. The first mistake that I think I really made was that I constantly doubted myself. I had really low self-confidence. So I still remember I cracked the interview on my own. I got the job at KPMG India on my own. The articleship started and I was all ready and excited. I started working at KPMG, started my articleship right after clearing Group 1 of IPCC. So I didn't even wait for Group 2 and I just started applying as soon as my exams were over. I didn't even wait for the results. So when I started working, I just had so much of self-doubt and imposter syndrome that I didn't belong in this amazing organization amongst these pool of people who were so smart, so intelligent. I constantly thought that they were smarter than me. And because of that, I shut myself down. I didn't speak up much in team meetings. I thought that I'll just put my head down and keep working, keep doing the hard work. Whereas I wish I could go back and hug my younger self and tell her that it's completely okay to start from scratch. Everybody starts from scratch. I am as qualified as everybody else in the room. And I just wish I had a little bit more confidence to ask questions, to clarify things, to present myself in a better manner rather than holding myself back and not knowing what to say, what not to say, when to say it. Yeah, I just feel I could have been a little bit more outspoken and shared my ideas and been a little bit more of a leader, even if I was the youngest or the junior most in the team. So if you're in a similar position where you feel that you constantly doubt yourself, that you feel like you don't belong, imposter syndrome hits us when we're in situations which are new and alien to us. So I would just suggest that don't hold yourself back and remember that you're in the room for a reason, right? You were selected to be a part of the firm for a reason. So stop doubting yourself, have a little faith and start speaking up. And because of that, I made the second mistake of never asking my seniors or my colleagues for any help or support. I just thought that I needed to know everything. And even though I was a fresher, even though I had no experience whatsoever, I don't know why I had that expectation from myself that I was supposed to know everything. You're not supposed to know everything. And that's something that London taught me, that you're supposed to be okay raising your hand and asking for help, giving people a shout that you're overwhelmed, that you're overworked, that you don't understand something, even if it's from a client or seniors in your team or other colleagues on other projects. So don't expect that you need to know everything. Ask as many questions as you can. And once you start getting used to it, your confidence will also increase. Another mistake I made was that I did not go deep into applying whatever I was learning in my classes, in my CA classes, or whatever I was learning in my books. I did not ever use too much of the knowledge to apply in real life practical scenarios. Once I learned how to do something, I just stuck to it and I kept doing it. I never applied the theory to the practical, which is the disconnect that I felt I should have noticed and I should have done something about earlier on in my articleship. And because of that, I also feel I did not build my specialization, and that's a mistake that I made. I was in the statutory audit department and I learned as much as I could across different industries, but I never became an expert in, let's say, just fixed assets or let's say one type of industry or one type of client. I was never the person who was called out for because I had specialization in one area. And I think that's something that you can start building on early in your career, because if you are good at one thing and you are the expert expert in that one thing, then people will recognize you for that one thing and they will say, okay, Mehar knows how to deal with telecom clients. Let's call her on the project. So that's the kind of gap that I felt I had. I became a generalist and not a specialist. So if you can build your specialization early on so that you can be recognized and you can then use that to either get promoted or build stronger relationships with clients or even find your next job. Because if you're an expert, let's say in the telecom industry, then you will easily be able to get a job in the telecom sector. The other mistake I feel I really made was that I prolonged and procrastinated studying for the final exams. And I also went into the herd mentality of giving both the groups together. So instead of reflecting and thinking how many groups I want to give or how prepared I feel, I just went on with what my friends were doing and I ended up giving both the groups. I wish I had given one group at a time, and that would have probably not caused me any failure in the first attempt. And also I wish I had started studying a little bit earlier. I left it till the very end of my study leave. I wish I had taken my classes a little bit more seriously. I wish I had done the whole thing in a more planned manner. Maybe if I had been more planned, maybe if I had revised more often, maybe if I had taken the institute's material seriously, I would have cleared in the first attempt, but I didn't. So my advice would be, please don't procrastinate on studying. Be very, very sure and have a clear structure, have a clear timetable. Don't miss your classes. Even if you can't balance work and studying, take out the time to at least finish your classes before your study leave starts, so that when the study leave starts, whatever you watch, in a way, you're watching it for the second time. And another thing that I probably didn't do is have an accountability buddy who could be a friend, who could help me and I could help them track everything, plan everything, and also keeping each other accountable as to what chapter to study, how much to study, which questions to do. The other mistake that I feel I really made is that I went all in on my articleship, in the sense it was so busy. Articleship is so busy. You are working all the time because you're studying also and you're working and you're trying to balance your personal life as well. So for me, I feel that I let my creative side go, and I was always a creative person. So I had multiple interests, I had multiple hobbies. I wish I had not let go of my creative side, my creative streak, and I had probably been more active on LinkedIn. I had started a blog which was about fashion. I wish I had never stopped doing that. I also wish I had taken out the time to upskill myself a little bit more outside of my 9 to 5, outside my articleship. So doing extra courses, whether that was about creative fields or whether that was about what was going on in the tech industry. I really, really wish that I could go back to those days and change these few things, because that time really never comes back, my friends, and you'll never be this young, this energetic ever again. Making me a little emotional, this topic. I'm not a regretful person, but I do feel that you only get that golden period once in your life, and that's the time when you should explore as much as you can, ask questions, do the things that you really want to do. And because of that reason, after I finished my CA, after I finished my articleship, is when I truly lived like the version that I really wanted to be, and that's why I ended up doing an MBA. Now let's talk a little bit about some of the mistakes I see other people making. One of them is doing dummy articleship. I know the articleship period can be tough, but please, my friends, those 5 years at KPMG during my articleship and a little bit afterwards, because I ended up not clearing my exams, were the foundation for the rest of my career. I learned so much there. The communication skills, the way to use Excel, the way to communicate with clients, the way to hustle, developing a strong work ethic. Those are the days when I could make mistakes because I was so young and I was just starting my career. And you won't be able to learn that practical experience sitting at home in a corner, just studying for 15 hours a day. Articleship is very important because CA is a practical degree. They want you to apply the theory in a practical scenario. So please don't do any dummy articleship, or even something I've heard called pummy articleship, which is a part-time dummy articleship. Please go on full on in your articleship period. Whether Big 4 is worth it or not, that's questionable. It's different for different people, but I've made a video on that you can check out as well. One of the other mistakes I see my students make is that they don't build their network. They do not build their communication skills. You are going to be exposed to so many people during articleship, whether it's your colleagues, your seniors, your bosses, your clients. Those are the relationships that are going to be with you for life. So whether you're going to do your own practice later or you're going to switch jobs, this is the network that will come in handy. And communication skills is so important, because I see that CA students are very intelligent, but many of them can't even communicate about themselves, can't introduce themselves in a meeting. So when I had the orientation program from icai, I noticed that I was one of the few who could communicate clearly. So please make sure you're using the orientation program as well as your articleship to learn how to write, to how to speak, how to present yourself, how to present your ideas, how to make reports. All of this will come handy later in your career. And your articleship can be your sounding board. Try as much as you can, different things during your articleship. And the last point point is that many of my students make this mistake is that they do not plan their post-CA plan. What are they going to do after they qualify? It's so important to know what direction you're going to take your career in. For example, for me, I was failing the CA final exams and I always had a plan B. My plan B was that I would do an MBA. So once the CA degree was over and I finally qualified in 2015, I told my dad, I told my mom that I want to do an MBA now, and that's when I went for an MBA in 2016. So it's very important to know what will you be doing immediately afterwards, because otherwise after clearing the exams you'll feel lost and it'll just feel like the same old. It's very important to have clarity as to what your plan is, because if you don't know your plan, you'll be just amongst the crowd and you want to stand out from the crowd. You want to do something different, you want to do something bigger. So that's it, my friends. I hope this video was useful for you. Please do let me know if you want to see more such CA related videos. I am here to answer all your questions in the comments below. I will be back soon with another video, but until then, keep working hard towards your dream with a big smile on your face. I hope to see you soon. Bye.